We all set?
What's that? Roll 'em.
Good evening, and welcome to the March 31st, 2014 meeting of the Lake Forest Zoning Board of Appeals. The board is here tonight to work together with all of you, property owners, neighbors, architects, to continue the tradition that allows community members to work together to preserve the qualities and the unique character that make Lake Forest a special community. We recognize the personal importance of each petitioner's request. Our goal is to respect the requests of the owner while balancing the interests of the community as a whole. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Zoning Board of Appeals, the board hears all requests for variations in zoning and special use permits. The City of Lake Forest is committed to conducting open meetings. To achieve that goal, the board has adopted meeting procedures that ensure that all parties have an opportunity to speak. The procedures are detailed on the agendas available at the back of the room. The meeting is also broadcast on cable television. Speaking on behalf of the entire board and city staff, our goal is to move each petition through the review process as quickly as possible, while at the same time balancing the interests of the petitioners, neighboring property owners, and the larger community. With that, we'll start with an introduction of the board, starting from my right.
Lloyd Culbertson, 4th Ward.
Richard Kristoff, 4th Ward.
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
Bob Frankson, First Ward.
Stuart Dixon, 2nd Ward.
Jay Kennedy, 4th Ward.
And with us with city staff tonight is Megan Newman, city planner. There are no minutes this evening, correct? So we will move on to the first petition, which is consideration of a request for approval of a variance for the reconfiguration of an existing brick bay within the side yard setback at 255 Maple Court. The owners are Stephen and Susan Felker. Representative is E. Austin Dupree, architect. Anybody wishing to testify on this matter, if you stand, raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. And we'll move into presentation by the petitioner, who I assume will be Mr. Dupre.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'll give you a brief overview of the project that we're proposing at 255 Maple Court. This house is in the Historic District. We presented to the Historic Preservation Commission last month, and were granted a conditional certificate of appropriateness for the project pending your review. This is a unique condition house that was built before the current zoning ordinances, and the house is located within the side yard setback. We're planning to do some modifications to the house within that side yard setback, but we are overall decreasing our lot coverage and not increasing any nonconformity in terms of distance from that property line. So a brief overview, the location 255 Maple Court, off of Maple Court, as you can see here on the slide. A few exterior photographs of the front entry of the north and of the east elevations. You can see on these slides a more detailed view of the portion of the house which is within that side yard setback. Starting on the slide to the left, you can see it from the west elevation here. The middle slide here shows a small window in a brick enclosure with a sweeping raised seam metal roof. We're proposing to modify that opening, increase the opening, installing windows that are sympathetic to the original French casement windows in the house, and we're proposing to eliminate this wood lattice structure on the side of that bay, and that's where we're proposing our reduction. A couple of photographs of the surrounding neighborhood, and then a diagram showing you all where this area of nonconformity is relative to setbacks. You can see the area shaded in blue and red, or blue enclosed space that's encroaching within the setback, and the red area is covered space. approximately 451 square feet of conditioned space within the setback and approximately 30 square feet of covered space within the setback. With this project, we're proposing to eliminate 100% of the covered space, increase slightly the conditioned base, but overall reduce the covered space within that setback by approximately 15 square feet. A couple more diagrams. The floor plan showing the remodeled kitchen within and the small breakfast banquette within the bay window to the north. And the elevations, again, from the east and west, highlighting the bay from those two elevations. And then the elevation to the north, which shows in dashed line here where the reduction of that bay is coming from. And then this last slide showing the visual perceived window within that existing brick bay. And I think with that, I'll leave it to you for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to staff's report, Ms. Newman.
Thank you, Chairman Franklin. Just a couple points to reiterate some of the comments that the petitioner made. The existing bay is currently within the side yard setback area. The overall project reduces the footprint of that area of nonconformity. There is no increase in height. It's primarily a cosmetic change to the exterior of that bay. That coupled, those physical characteristics coupled with the application of the R4 zoning district merit consideration of this setback variance from the zoning board. There are positive findings in your staff report supporting this request. The project is located within the historic district. A couple weeks ago, the Historic Preservation Commission did issue a certificate of appropriateness for the architectural detailing and other components of the project with changes to the elevations. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, but there are, as I mentioned, positive findings in your staff report.
Quick clarification, the existing bay is outside of the existing setback area, correct?
The existing bay is within the setback area, so it's closer to the property line than what is permitted by code.
Okay. It encroaches the setback. Okay, very good. Moving on to questions from the board, starting anywhere.
I have none.
No, I have questions.
Mr. Dupre, any drainage issues from the roof line as a result of the construction, pending construction, that should be brought to our attention?
No, we are actually not affecting the impervious surface at all, so there should be no impact from this project.
Great, thank you.
So.
All right. Moving on to public testimony. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? No cross-examination. Any final questions from the board? Nope. Final discussion and comment. I'll start off maybe with the painfully obvious. I mean, the footprint is reduced. The architectural detail is enhanced. The north side is fairly landscaped, and where you get a less boxy new structure. So I don't know that there's much more to talk about. It looks like a winner to me.
Yeah, in view of the fact that historical preservation has approved it as well, I think that seems to be, it's because of the old zoning code. I mean, because of the zoning code has changed before after the house was constructed. So I don't see
hardship.
it would be a hardship.
Yep. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we recommend approval to the City Council of the requested variance to allow the new addition to be located no closer than 7.5 feet to the north property line as shown on the site plan.
All those in favor?
I'll second that motion
whoops.
first.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. The second item on the agenda is consideration of a request for approval of a variance for a replacement garage and arbor breezeway within the front yard setback at 1002 Woodbine Place. Owners are Scott and Natalie Rampala. Representatives are James Benjamin and Robert Willison Architects. Anybody wishing to give testimony on this matter, stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge? All right. Petitioner presentation.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bob Rollison. I'm with Door 13 Architects, and I'm representing my sister Natalie and her husband Scott Rampala. We are in front of you tonight. They live at 1002 Woodbine in East Lake Forest. It is part of the historical district, and we have already approved approval from the historic preservation. The property was once part of a much larger estate, the Laughlin Estate. And the main house was here. Their house was originally a coach house, which also provided housing for the the gardener and other servants. And then down here in the right corner was a tool shed and stable. Here's the existing conditions. I think most of you have probably seen the house. And in the bottom left corner here is the existing garage. Again, this is an official plat of survey, but it's been rotated in order to fit the presentation. But north is to your right. The area in the box on the right there is with the existing detached garage. This is a blow-up of that same area, and it shows the lines in blue here is the front yard 50-foot setback, and on the side here the 20-foot side yard setback. You can see the existing garage and shed attached do not comply with either of those setbacks. To the street, it's, as you can see there, averages about 21 feet, which would be a 29-foot nonconformity, and then on the sides, it's 17 feet and 13 feet. Just gives sort of an overall. Here's our new proposed garage. You can see it's set back significantly at about 12 feet back further than the original. In the shaded area here, we're showing it in reference to the existing garage and shed. So we move it back about 12 feet, and although we're moving it back further, we would still need requesting a 17-foot setback. This is showing the garage, the proposed garage with the overall site. One of the reasons we're asking for the variance is so that we can still keep the connection to the existing house and to not disturb the beautiful gardens and backyard. These are orientation photos around the house, or around the garage and house. Starting here with 1 is the garage, 2 front of the house, 3 also front of the house. Here you can see a bit of the existing garage, and so on, and finally up here at top is the back. Because of the berm and neighbors to the side here, also heavy wooded area, the garage is really only visible from the public side, straight from Woodbine. Another image kind of blown up. This house was built originally in 1907 as part of the estate, and it's my belief that Woodbine actually served as more of a service road, and I think they were less concerned with setbacks and things. As I said, this was originally the carriage house where they actually kept carriages, and you can see with the other houses in the neighborhood there, other than the one to the north, none of them actually comply. The shaded area there is the 50-foot setback. This is a front elevation. Here, this is the tool shed actually just to the south, in which we used as sort of a template on sizes and proportions of our proposal. The rear of the garage. We're using some of the trellis work that was on the original house, and keeping that fence, just taking it down and then relocating it. This would be the south side, showing the connection, and a covered trellis. North side, and plans. And these are some of the other concepts that we looked at. So I guess that's pretty much it.
All right. End your presentation. Good. Thank you very much. Woodbine, by the way, I'm sure you've all seen it. Great street. One of those really neat character streets with some of those houses that don't have much of a setback, but it's a very interesting neighborhood. We'll move on to staff's report. Ms. Newman.
Thank you, Chairman Frankson. You're absolutely correct. This area of town is unique. This request is a little atypical for a front yard setback variance, but given the configuration of existing homes, the setback of other structures along that street, the history of this property being an outbuilding for a larger estate, a city-approved subdivision to really allow those outbuildings to remain viable and converted to a single-family home. I'll contribute to this request and the board's consideration of the variance request. In this case, there is a reduction in the encroachment to the north into the side yard setback. There is no side yard setback variance requested. The only variance requested is for the front yard to allow the replacement garage to be closer to the street than allowed by code, but further setback than the existing condition. This project also is within the Historic District, and the Historic Preservation Commission did grant a certificate of appropriateness for the design. They were supportive of the increase of height to better relate to the main house and architecture of those outbuildings. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. There are, again, positive findings in your staff report this evening.
All righty. Moving on to questions from the board, starting either side.
I don't have any.
Maybe I'll start with one, and I'm usually the one that has a hard time looking at. If I'm reading, and I'm looking at this sheet right here, it said one of the conditions was no further than 33 feet from the east for the new structure. If I'm adding this up correct, the existing garage is 21 and a half feet, and so this is going to be another 12 feet to the west? Okay. That's my question.
Is the garage going to remain a three-car garage even with the extended height and everything, or is it going to be expanded?
Right now it's currently a two-car.
Or a two-car? I thought I saw three.
It's right here,
That's
two-car
two.
garage.
Please use the microphone.
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
The existing garage is a two-car garage with a shed that sort of wraps around, and our proposal is really a two-and-a-half-car garage. It's a little bit deeper to allow for bikes and other necessities of a modern garage.
So the structure actually gets narrower, but it's longer.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
actually it's only about, I think, let's see, the existing garage is 29 feet, including the shed, in depth from east to west, and are proposed to be 36.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for fun. Megan, I know HBC has approved the 8-foot taller version of this structure because it accommodates the massing of the house. From an architectural standpoint, what we're supposed to consider is whether any of the any variance would, particularly with respect to condition 4, would impair light or ventilation to adjacent properties. And I take it staff has concluded that that's not going to be the case.
Correct. There is an existing planting bed between the two property lines, as well as more utilitarian structures on the adjacent property to the north, immediately relating to this structure. So with those two components, staff did find that there would not be a negative impact for light and vent.
So it looks like they're going from roughly 13 feet, the existing structure, up to 20 and a half feet. You know, a little bit of rise in height, but, you know, not like it's a 35-foot
Right.
ridge.
Exactly.
You know, so,
They're also not requesting a side yard setback variance, so they are pulling the structure further away from that property line.
Which I think should be noted as part of the consideration.
Good. Thank you.
any other questions? All right. Moving on to public testimony. Anybody wishing to talk about this matter? That'll be short. No cross-examination. Any final questions here? I guess to sum it up, it looks like you get a better garage with a further setback from
The street.
from the street, and you get a little height, but I mean, quite frankly, you look at the existing garage, it's, looks like an early 1900s structure that,
I think it looks better.
yeah, so I would be inclined to support it. If there is no other discussion, it'd be time for a motion. I feel like we're going through these too quickly. Are we missing anything?
No,
There must be
I think-
something we need to dig into on this.
I'll make a motion that we recommend the approval to the city council of the requested variance at 1002 Woodbine, to allow the new addition to be located no closer than 33 feet from the east property line as shown in our packets.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. All right. Now moving on to an opportunity for the public to address the Zoning Board of Appeals on matters not on the agenda. All right. Now moving on to any editorial comments from the board.
None tonight.
None tonight.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.